Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is where you are. Welcome to today's Friday Fix with the awesome AlphaPicks guys and myself, Ryan. Obviously, you know that by now. Happy non-farm payrolls day to everyone. Oh, there's Jay, he's already there. Now, let me invite you, my dear friend. 1 second. I'm assuming people can hear me. I'm trying out my new headphones, so I could be talking to absolutely no one. Michael, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, please? Yeah. Jay, you there?
I am. Afternoon.
Afternoon. Let me tell you what, whilst we wait for Phil, let me just get the legals out of the way. Nothing discussed on this space session constitute trade or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PiQ Global Limited, trading as PiQ or PiQ Suite, or its affiliates, including the hosts, which, as you know by now on the Friday Fix, is the awesome AlphaPicks guys, and the other one's just joined, so let me just invite him. And myself, Ryan. Yeah. Happy non-farm payroll day to you.
Yes, it is
Oh, God, cheer up, mate.
going to be an
Cheer up. It's
interesting
not
one.
that bad. Here he is. Here's the big man.
Here, I'm here.
Yeah.
Afternoon, everyone.
Well, see, that's what I'm a bit chipper when you come in. Jay sounds like he's a bit depressed. What's happening, Jay?
Uh, still fighting a cold.
Oh, yeah. It is bloody freezing.
Oh,
I'm not going to lie, it is bloody freezing. Um,
Yeah.
are we all set for
it's
non-farm
chilly.
payrolls?
We are. I mean, the general theme is every sort of tier one data release from the States is the largest in the history in terms
Yeah,
of significance,
it's the
but
most important one.
arguably, well, it's important one of our lifetimes.
Yeah, until the
But
next one.
I actually until the next one, I actually don't really see. Yeah, well, famous last words. I don't actually know if today's payroll is going to be a huge craziness, but we'll have to see. We'll have to
I,
see. Um,
I'm leaning your way. It does feel like this is almost one just to get out the way until Trump comes in, because I don't, unless something's really out of kilter, which I don't think it will be. Famous last words. But you know, what what are we going to plan before Trump's in? We don't know what Trump's going to do when he comes in on the tariff front. Yeah, you just don't. We have no clue. So I do feel this is almost a placeholder one, placeholder NFP.
yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah,
I know
agree.
what I mean in my head.
Yeah. I mean, I think basically the outlier risk is that we get a big number, 200, 250K,
Yeah,
and the implications obviously on treasuries and the yields obviously kicking higher, and this being a catalyst for them actually being able to go higher, I
yeah.
think is the sort of pain trade off the print. But yeah, I think anything in that sort of 180 and then surveys at like 165 down to like 150, like a 150 to 180. I think there won't be too much drama. But yeah, I think that the pain trade is that sort of 200K plus, and obviously the impact then on yields.
So
Um,
go on then. Before
yeah.
before I let you kick off, let's have a little bet then. Let's have a little wager, right? Um, what will we do it for? We'll do it for a couple of rounds of drinks at the Stafford, obviously. Whoever's closest.
Yeah.
So go on. I'll tell you, I'll go first because otherwise Jay will think I'm just taking a piss, whatever he guesses. Um, I'll go 111,000.
Okay. Surprise. Well, that's a surprising one straight off the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to go fairly close to content. I'm going to go like 150.
Oh, yeah. Jay.
I'll go 151.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Is
Oh
he going to be a
God.
150 or 150 spread?
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
To be honest, I was dreading him going nuts. I was like, if he goes 112, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh, nuts. That's very, very
Whoa.
well played. But anyway, right, so that's our numbers 111, 150, 151.
151.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Let's,
I almost want
um,
it to be 149 just so Jay gets stuck that way. Um, but go on, right, so let's crack on. So what's been happening this
closest to
week?
the pin. What's my next week? Do you know what? A lot.
Yeah,
That's
okay, that's the
the
end of the
short
show.
answer. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Yeah, it's been well. Obviously, this has been the first sort of proper week where everyone's sort of back at the desks
Yes.
and focusing and cracking on. Um, but yeah, I mean, loads to actually run through. I mean, the sort of week kicked off, and a lot of the sort of headlines Monday, Tuesday that were coming through was actually out of sunny Las Vegas with the Consumer Electronics Show, and big tech effectively using this as their vehicle for shining a little bit of a spotlight on what's coming up, and thoughts on bits and bobs and new releases, etc. um Nvidia, obviously, as ever, was in the limelight with Dichuan talking. And also, I mean, in terms of the most interesting bits I saw coming out from it, there was a great bit about autonomous vehicles and how a lot of AI, more traditional some tech companies are pivoting in there. I saw one with Sony. Sony have partnered up with Nissan, I believe it is, or Toyota, basically to put their entertainment systems into the next generation autonomous vehicles. So in theory, you'll be able to play your PS5 as your car's driving,
I'm not.
which,
I'm not sure I like this. I'm not sure I
you
like
know,
the way this is going. I would prefer people to be
yeah,
focused on the roads. I don't care how autonomous the cars are, but it seems a bit of a jump to us. But he says with a provisional driving license, so I better shut up.
I was going to say, I mean, well, yeah, I don't know where Tom Todd's car is, but yeah, the the vehicle knowledge on that front is, well, yeah, we'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Um, Nvidia teamed up with Toyota. That was another one. So Toyota are going to be using Nvidia's autonomous driving products. And Uber was the other one that I saw. Uber and Nvidia. They're doing a collab together,
Nice.
essentially trying to speed up AI tech in sort of driving vehicles. So for me, that was the interesting direction from Monday, Tuesday. In
Just
terms of market
sorry.
direction,
Can I
Nvidia hit
just
all-time highs. Yeah, go on.
just one thing on this before we do move on, because so again, it was one of the interesting things that I was actually paying attention to as well, surprisingly. One thing I noted, and this kind of ties in, 'cause we were talking about this, me and Jay and yourself, a couple of weeks ago. Remember when we were talking about quantum computing and it's always just the death of Bitcoin kind of thing.
Mm.
And the Nvidia CEO did come out and say, look, let's be honest here, like useful quantum computing, actually being able to use the quantum computers, is still decades away. Which I think was and we saw the quantum computing names get hit off on that. And I thought that was a bit of a kind of definitely pouring water over the quantum computing fire that kind of lit up at the tail end of last week when it was that announcement came up. So I think it's
Mm.
an interesting one. But yeah, again, I'm very
Yeah.
much clutching at straws here, trying to understand what any of it means. I can bet I'm still using my Commodore 64 to be honest. But
Your Nintendo, yeah, your Nintendo 64.
yeah.
Yeah. Although I actually remember when we were having that conversation because it tied in with the release of Willow from
Yes.
Alphabet about their one, and they even admitted they were like, oh, the actual commercial uses for this are still. I think they didn't say decades away, but they were like years away. And at that point we were like, well, if commercial use is so far away, why are we bothering now?
Yeah, exactly
Um,
that.
but yeah, same vibes with Nvidia. Yeah, like they think it's a long way away. And so, and I would argue that, their opinion on matters is more significant than ours in terms of their expertise, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So yeah, so the CES show, that was quite an interesting one to know some interesting bits and bobs. I'm going to kick it across to Jesse because over in Canada, um, we had obviously political bits and bobs, not just Trump trying to turn them into a new state, but he wrote about it actually quite nicely on Wednesday. So yeah, Jay, you want to run through that bit?
Yeah, so that was the main headline. Monday and Tuesday was over in Canada. Trudeau stepping down. But then looking at the polls, the Conservative Party are leading because whoever the Liberal Party appoint, they'll need to throw another election.
Yeah.
And yeah, Conservative parties are leading the polls, which would be interesting because the Conservative leader, who is a very, I would say, almost like similar to Trump in some ways, that he's very pro-business and lots of talk of deregulation, tax cuts. So
So
quite a few
would
echoes
that
from across the
would
border.
that be an interesting move then? Because obviously, as we know, like the Canadian stock market is it's just full of metal mining names and kind of commodity names like that. So when we're talking about deregulation in Canada, I guess we're potentially talking about making it easier for mines to get permission to build and all of that stuff. I'm guessing here because I know in the past
Yeah.
there's been there's large swathes of like the Canadian wilderness that is sitting on tons, like as in well, literally tons of precious metals and also like lithium and all this stuff, and obviously the crude oil and that gas. So I guess it'll be interesting how that materializes, because we already know that the US is now a big player in the energy exporting arena, which much to the beguile of OPEC. So it'd be interesting to see maybe if Canada starts kind of going that way as well. Because there's a lot of flow that goes from Canada into the US on the energy front. So I guess deregulation on that front could potentially really kind of rock the boat more globally, in terms of really kind of knocking the wind out of OPEC sales that, let's be honest, aren't great anyway.
Yeah, so he is a big supporter of resource extraction. So I think you make a good point that it could have some knock-on effects to these global corporations as well if they ramp up that side of things, which obviously they've got a lot of commodities that they can tap into.
So I'll be honest, the Canadian stock market is something that I looked at many, many years ago. I can't remember the last time I even saw a chart for the Canadian stock market. So potentially that's something to keep an eye on then, really.
Yeah, so there was a positive reaction. I'm just trying to bring up. There's a positive reaction in equities initially, maybe in part just because of slightly more like certainty with the Trudeau situation ending, if that makes sense. So a bit of a relief there. But yeah, the energy stocks were the main driver this week as well. On the back of the announcement, they were up, leading the indices. So yeah, positive reaction there, and then a bit of a move in the currency as well. Maybe throw that back to you, Phil.
Currency front. Just before you do, just Jay. So, what's your? Because obviously I know you've been looking into this a little bit. So, what's Trump obviously making kind of noises about the 51st state and all of this stuff. I guess we have spoke about previously how France and Germany are in a bit of a pickle, obviously because they've got pretty much non-existent governments. They've got no real sway at the moment. They're both looking at elections on the horizons. And the question we've asked previously is, if that's the case and Trump does start throwing some tariff noises towards the EU, it's like, well, the two powerhouses can't really react because they haven't got a functioning government. So do you think there's a risk then that Trump might kind of get a bit saucy, aiming it at Canada as well, knowing that they haven't really got a government until what's the date? Is it March? Did I see the election possibly?
Potentially. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, who really knows what Trump will do?
Well, he's
always a wild card. Yeah, there's a chance that he'll try keep on with the tariff thing, but also I've seen a lot of comments on Twitter like how much of all of this that he's throwing up now is just to get like bargaining power down the line with these companies, because there's big ties with the UK, with Europe, with Canada. So how much of this, it's not even in power yet, how much of this talk is in a strong position, so when he comes into power he can get started. After all, he is the art of the deal, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly that. Anyway,
that's what his ghostwriter said.
Sorry.
No. I was saying, a couple of things. So first of all, on election date, so the suspension of Parliament is until March 24th, and then obviously as soon as they come back from that, they can then force or put the motion through a general election.
Got you.
So if you assume, I don't actually know all the details, but let's say a minimum of like a 30-day campaign period. So in actual fact, you're probably looking sort of end of April as a sort of early date for the election, which I agree with you, does add more pressure because they're going to be in limbo for a solid 3 months, let's say, whilst Trump's already, got his feet under the table.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the slightly lighthearted one as well. It always makes me laugh when you see, either a prime minister resigning and the reaction in the market, or even like a CEO when they resign. And whenever the stock pops or the currency appreciates after you're gone, like, do you know what I mean? You just say like, was I really that bad? You know what I mean? Like,
it's funny you say it because you've nailed it actually with the CEOs. Every time I see like a CEO resigns or stepped down or sacked or whatever, and then I genuinely look at it and think I actually feel sorry for them because they must think, fuck, is that how bad I am?
Yeah, well, at least their stock options are probably worth a little bit more. So I mean, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, exactly. They're not too bothered.
Yeah. First stat of the day, actually. First
Oh,
question
go
of the
on.
day, which with Jesse, I don't think he knows the answer to either. Basis from Wednesday, obviously, latest Fed minutes came out. Nothing particularly interesting in them, but the with obviously our friends and very good friends of yours, Ryan, CME,
Yeah,
the
friends of
Fed
ours,
watched.
friends of ours, not just
Friends
mine,
of ours, friends of
ours,
ours.
ours.
Yeah, friends of ours. The FedWatch tool. So, what is the percentage
Mm.
probability now that there are no cuts from the Fed through to the end of the year?
Ooh.
So, AKA US
Oh,
interest rates
that
stay
is a
the
good
same.
question. Jesse, over to you.
So I know like the first cut has been pushed back to July. So I'm trying to think like no cuts at all in H2. Maybe like
That is nervous
10,
laughter you hear from me, by the way, because I don't know what
yeah.
to say.
I'm gonna I who knows 10%,
Oh,
five.
you
10%.
bastard! I was going to say 10%,
Yeah, let's
11%.
go 10.
So, we got 10 and 11.
Yeah,
15.2.
Oh
I'm going to take the win.
Yeah,
yeah.
take the dubs there. Yeah, 15.2%. So it's like,
Okay.
don't get me wrong, it's like it's a tail, it's a low
Yeah,
probability outcome at the minute, which probably will remain that way. But definitely like if you want some interesting like risk to reward trades out there, like a little play on no hikes, sorry, no cuts from the Fed in 25.
I don't.
Which
I
yeah.
don't actually. I actually think that's. Yeah, again, we're talking like a bit of a punt here, right? But I actually, and again, no trading advice on this show. But yeah, I now you've said that, I'm actually thinking, yeah, that you wouldn't be. Well, put it this way, you wouldn't be shocked if that ticks higher, that percentage.
Even ticking higher to like a 40-50%, yeah,
It's a
I
decent old
think
move.
it's a decent old move, isn't it? So that was that. And then something that I know definitely, Ryan, you'll have an opinion on with your um well, love-hate relationship with Rachel Reeves, shall we say? um Nervous laughter again.
Yep.
Is was obviously the moves in the gilt market over the past few days. So I mean,
Mm.
I tell you what, I'll give for obviously some of our viewers that maybe aren't from the UK or whatever, the very brief summary, and then I'll kick it across to Ryan for the
Oh
opinion
God.
piece. Um, so the gist of it is UK yields have been moving higher across the curve over the past few days. The 30-year hit the highest level since 1998 yesterday, to give you impression of the size of the move. And why this is significant is because back in the budget last autumn, Rachel Reeves, when she was trying to balance the books by 2029, 2030, she only left herself a little bit of wiggle room to the tune of about 10 billion. Now, obviously, when the government raises money through the gilts markets, they obviously pay interest, if you like, via whatever the yield is at that time. So you can't perfectly forecast what the government interest costs are going to be
Yeah.
down the line. With yields kicking so much higher, this means obviously the headroom for Reeves has now basically gone. And so therefore it's like, okay, well, if it's going to cost us more to service our debt, what are we going to do? Are we going to increase taxes to make up the shortfall? Are we going to
Yeah.
cut spending? And ultimately, maybe this isn't the top of the market. Maybe we have to keep cutting further. So that's the sort of the 30-second summary of why it's a big deal. Brian, I'll let you give us the opinion.
How long have you got? Well, here's the thing, right? So when this first came out, yeah, everyone was like, "What are they doing? They've left no headroom at all." And Michael Brown said it very well. Back when this happened, he was like, Michael Brown was saying, and rightly so, that you've left yourself no headroom, and you're making your assumptions on we are going to the economy is going to grow, interest rates are going to stay where they are or get lower. Yeah, it's almost like you're expecting the perfect storm to allow yourself that minimal headroom. Obviously, there's been a storm and it's not perfect; it's gone the other way. I genuinely think we are in a lot of trouble. Um, I think I don't trust the Treasury Department. I don't trust the Labour government. That's not going to be a shock to anyone. Um, but it just feels to me like they just haven't got a clue. It would be fine if we were seeing decent growth, but we're not. In fact, we're going backwards. And then when you've got Rachel Reeves, she's over in China at the moment, but she's not made a single proper real statement to kind of try and calm the markets. And Yeah, and then it was her deputy came out yesterday to try to answer, I think it was an urgent question in the Commons. And he basically just said, "Oh, we're not really worried about the moving gilts." It's like, well, you've got to be worried about the moving gilts because that's the price you're paying. Yeah, and also he did make a quick about, "Oh, I don't have a Bloomberg." Well, mate,
Mm.
you're basically one of the key people making these decisions about that directly relates to gilt markets. Buy a fucking Bloomberg terminal, please.
Yeah, yeah. Although I see in the one that I was saying, in fairness to them, on that Bloomberg point, it's a slight tangent. Is it's one where whenever you see on LinkedIn jobs at MIC's Treasury or related functions, even in the Bank of England, because I remember
Yeah,
obviously in the Bank of England they have their own sort of capital markets team,
yeah.
but like if you look at the compensation of those jobs relative to what it is in the private sector, there is a
Oh, yeah.
huge gulf. And so it doesn't surprise me that even one of the top guys hasn't even got a terminal because
Well,
the
you say this. Hang on, no, I'm not having it. Sorry,
you
I'm
know
not
having
having it.
that.
Because I got sent how much this fellow we're talking about, how much he spent last year, and he
Mm,
spent how much we spent for him, and he billed the government £200,000 on staffing costs. Yeah, these are people that are
okay.
kind of it's fuck it. I'll give him a discount on PIQ if he wants one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just it's mad. But I get your point. I think you pay peanuts, you get monkeys at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
for I guess my TLDR on my opinion on this is I wasn't comfortable with how things would play out before this move in gilt, and now genuinely I'm really concerned for the UK economy because
Mm,
you know. It, also, one thing we've got to quickly say, there was a guy out yesterday I saw on Twitter basically doing the rounds on media claiming that Bond bros in London are basically trying to gang up and force Reeves out in the bond market and stuff. That's absolute tosh. Like there is no kind of like secret bond market cartel that's driving the gilts to try and oust the Labour Party. That's just not the way
mm,
things work. So that, yeah.
mm. Yeah.
I wish there was. I
No,
wish
it's
there was.
true.
I wouldn't mind getting involved, but yeah.
Yeah. But all I'd say, I mean, 10-year at the minute is at 4.82. I mean, are you telling me though that if the 10-year gets to 5%, would you not be a buyer at 5%? I mean, I think I would.
Sorry, Cam just joined me. Yeah,
Oh.
no, absolutely, I would. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think like, yeah, I think there's a little bit more room for this to run, but I think, well, yeah, I'd probably take the other side to you. I'm slightly more tempered on this. And also, again, for all the fin twits saying that this is like 2022 Liz Truss all over again, I actually think like, it is different for several reasons from 2022.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I don't think that comparative. And also, I sort of see Liz Truss has hired some lawyers to stop Keir Starmer saying that she crashed the economy. He's not allowed to use the
Yeah,
phrase,
it
which
was
is
a cease
like,
and desist letter, wasn't it? But
yeah,
and in fairness to her, you know, they can't keep wheeling out. Oh, it's all Liz Truss's fault. Like they've been in power for a little bit. They put their own budget together. It's now on them. Like, what are we going to be saying in 4 years' time? Are they still going to be blaming Liz Truss? Yeah,
mm.
we've got to move on.
And where's Kwarteng these days? That's what I want to know.
Oh God
Is he in the
knows.
city? Who
I
knows?
have no idea. He's not
Who
where I am. I
knows?
tell you.
Yeah. So yes, I think obviously that was definitely a main story there for it. So and then obviously finally, yeah, NFPs, which we get out this afternoon, well, very shortly actually, will be something to look at. But yeah, I'd say from my end, those were the main stories I wanted to run through. Oh, and actually, no, I'll tell you one final one. One final one to
Go on.
finish off you was energy. Obviously, oil. We touched on it briefly. Cold snaps across US, Europe. Obviously, tightening of sanctions around Russia. Do we think? And actually, you'll be in a better position to answer this. Do you think that this has further to run higher in oil based on this, or this is like a start of the year cold snap and
The
demand is going to roll over?
yeah, that's a very good question. In my experience, tends to be, especially with the nat gas. Nat gas can be a very, very fickle mistress. Yes, the bid we've seen into it is very much directly on the degree days that we're seeing at the moment, and it is a rush for gas. Obviously, you're going to see a lot of headlines over the next couple of weeks about European storage kind of coming off faster than it has done recently. But that's because we've had mild winters. So, and if you're looking back for like the last kind of 5 year moving average on gas stock, especially in Europe, it's going to look pretty savage because we have come off pretty fast. But again, bear in mind that the last 5 winters have been fairly mild. If you look back over 20 years, I do think that when this cold snap passes, which it better do soon, because I'm freezing my tits off.
Mm.
I do think we'll probably see some significant pullback, especially in the nat gas. Crude slightly different because I think there's more at play. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes looking to see when.
Oh, we've lost him. You still there, Jay?
I'm
Oh,
here.
He's back. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
back now.
It's only
Can you
getting
hear me?
sawn in half.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Sorry. So I think it'd be interesting to see how quickly Putin and Zelensky get to the table when Trump's in power. Because I think if that happens, that'll be further weight on crude prices, just as the whole geopolitical landscape kind of warms up slightly or cools down. Sorry. I think there's a lot at play at the moment. It's one of those occasions where I'm pretty glad that I'm not trading energy anymore.
Agreed. Are you at the Stafford? Are they doing works behind you or somewhere else?
No comment. I'm on my headphones. I don't know. It's
You got my
quite quiet. I
headphones.
don't know what's happened. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. Cool. Yeah, Jay, any last bits and bobs from you?
Nothing major. The only other thing, slightly more light-hearted this week, was we had a good fun Trump press conference with the wanting to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and also wanted Greenland
To be
along
fair,
with Canada's
I'm
51st
all
state.
for it. I'm all for it. Yeah, we've got the English Channel. Give it to them.
Yeah.
Go for America. Yeah, go for it.
But I did think, although most of it was kind of just funny commentary that was there to be memed and probably won't materialize, it is a good foresight that Trump is going to be shaking markets for his whole term because he can come out with the most outrageous things that no one was even expecting or pricing. So we're in for a good bit of fun, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a few more weeks down the line that we'll be basing a Friday fix around an outrageous Trump press conference.
I think weekly. I think it'll
Fun
be
way
one
to
a
start
week.
25.
Agreed. Fine. Well, yeah, that's all from me. I think we kept it under the 30 minutes, which is wonderful.
Perfect.
And I dare say we'll be doing an in-person one next couple of weeks.
Yes.
And just bring out the Stone Island and we'll do one.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. Well, guys, thank you so much. As always, brilliant to have you guys on to give us your thoughts. Next week, actually, hopefully, if I can get this sorted, next week, PiQ and AlphaPicks are going to start running some competitions around the S&P. So stay tuned for information on that. I think we're actually going to it's going to be a very exciting quarter for both of us because we're going to start doing much more, potentially some stuff. Get to see me involved a little bit more as well. Big shout out to Cam. Obviously, he's starting doing some crypto stuff with us, and he's just an all-round great guy. And I'm not saying that because I'm waiting for him to buy me a beer. But guys, thank you so much as always. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. We'll get this up on the YouTubes and all of that funky stuff. And we'll see you.